Hello, you. My name's Jonti.
And I'm Brandon, also known as B Squared, and this is This Week in Ink.
Each week, we'll be wading through the Inklands to bring you the news and the views on all things Lorcana.
Coming up, we have our weekly features such as Main Street Market Watch and You Made Me Ink.
And we'll be discussing the latest topics and taking opinions from the live chat. Hello, live chat.
So, unfortunately, I think we have to address the elephant in the room before we move on, mainly because I think it'll just be best to get this out of the way.
Just rip the Band-Aid off, man. Let's...
Yeah, like, we can just get on to more exciting things. The Ravensburger queue today was a failure. Complete failure, basically.
So, I mean, you're gonna have to take the lead on this a little bit for me, because until maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I didn't even know that this was even a thing. I was sat there in blissful, employed by a local game store ignorance that this is not on my radar at all. So for anyone else watching who is also an unaware idiot like myself, what was this Ravensburger queue?
Okay, so this was something that was only available to the people in the U.S. Ravensburger had announced.
Oh, I feel less bad now that I know it's only in the U.S. Even if I was interested, I couldn't even look at this.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
Like you had no access to this. But essentially, Ravensburger told us that today, it's initially at, I think, 9 o'clock Eastern in the morning, people could show up to the Ravensburger website. They'd be put into a queue. And then at, I believe it was 10:30 Eastern, people would be taken from that queue and they'd be assigned a number, basically into another queue to like get into the Ravensburger shop where you could buy Rise of the Floodborn. And it all was going to be random. So it didn't matter if you joined at 9 o'clock sharp this morning or if you showed up at 10:29. As long as you were in there in that frame, you would be randomly assigned a queue position. I think the idea was to make it so that people who are using bots and trying to get in and buy up all the product faster than we can as humans, we're all put in random positions. So like you could send a bunch of bots in, but it's going to be less effective than it's not going to be less effective. It'll be less effective than if it was just like first come, first serve.
So what you're saying is there was a huge, just like virtual cattle pen that everyone sort of smushed into. And then at 10:30, the doors would open and they would try and get all that huge amount of random people into a line.
Basically, yeah.
So just like Gen Con.
Yeah, exactly. I was making the joke today. I was like, how am I having PTSD over a virtual queue line? At least this time I wasn't carrying a box, but you know,
getting physically crushed.
Yeah. But anyway, it was basically like that. Already we started off poorly because 10:30 came around and they extended the wait time an hour. And so we were like, okay, sure. They were like, I think they had some stuff to fix on their end. I don't know what was happening at that time.
Well, do you think now with hindsight, like seeing the official announcement now, do you think they knew this then and it was the beginning of them trying to deal with it? Like they knew what the problem was straight away?
I don't know, but that's my guess. Is it like they saw that there might be an issue and they were like, let's try to fix this before it gets worse or before it even happens. In all honesty, we'll get to that later. But I think one of the complaints that I heard a lot from the community today was that Ravensburger wasn't vocal enough about things are not going the way they should in the background. And it was just a bunch of people in a queue all day that, you know, were waiting. I mean, I was like, for context, myself and a lot of other people, we're just trying to get a good spot in the queue. So I probably had 5 or 6 different browsers open between different browsers to try to get a good queue spot. And maybe I don't think so, but
that's 4 too many. They were doing fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, blame me. But the lowest queue number that I got when the floodgates opened was somewhere in the 57,000s of people. And so one of the complaints was Ravensburger wasn't vocal enough in what was happening in the background and why things were going poorly. And people were just kind of waiting all day. And then, at the end they say, hey, we were being DDoSed. We're canceling, or we're shutting down this whole thing. You can't buy any more product. I think what Ravensburger was trying to do, and this is just my tinfoil hat theory, I don't know if this is what was actually happening. I feel like they were trying to save the day before they had to shut the show down.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they were running around, behind the scenes, doing everything they could before they had to just pull the plug. I think, but I'm just going to catch up with chat a little bit. First of all, welcome, Knive. Knive's first time here. You're very welcome, buddy. If anyone's interested in limited format for Lorcana, both draft and sealed, you should check out Knives Nerd Corner. Just really good content on that area of the game.
Absolutely.
Travis Tavern, doors in Brandon's apartment today were looking vicious.
It's funny you say that. It's a weird, interesting fact that nobody asked for. I don't have doors in my apartment.
I hope you have
one. I have a front door, an outside door, but there are no doors to the rooms in my apartment my house, because that's just how it came, and I haven't gotten around to putting doors on it yet. So there you
go. And probably with good reason there as well.
Yeah, Gen Con did it for me. I said I can't do it anymore.
So I mean, these some numbers that are coming in the chat. I was 82,000th in the queue. 30,000 trying to line up, making 140,000. I mean, to me, I would have seen that number and I thought, oh, there's something wrong here, because this is a ridiculous number. I mean, you're never going to know, are you? But I reckon that number probably should have been 3,000-4,000 maybe.
Yeah, as soon as I saw any 5-digit number, I was like, something's wrong here, and I'm not getting product today, and immediately dismissed the chance of doing it. I went in with super low expectations anyway. Frankly, because the first round of this didn't go well when they did it for the first chapter, and even on Shop Disney, and anytime you see product go up on Target or Best Buy or wherever, it sells out immediately. And unless you just happen to be extremely lucky and getting a good queue placement, or being one of the first in line, or somehow making it through, I just wasn't going in with any expectations today. But yeah, the moment that I saw that number, I was like, something's wrong. This number is not real. There aren't 50,000 people here. It's either because of the random queue, I got put in a really weird number, and there's other filler numbers that aren't real. Yeah. Or there's a lot of fake accounts or bots or whatever that are taking, those spots. And you're gonna hear
the term DDoS come up a lot over the next few days. I mean, I'm not super tech savvy. We got this sort of thing, but it's basically just lots of fake people going to the site, right? In very simple terms, it's just generating way too much fake traffic to a site to bring it down to its knees, and that's either to as a legitimate attempt to get into the site, in this case, perhaps it is just people sending bots in to purchase stuff, but then also it can just be, we want to watch the world burn, right? Those of you remember a year or two ago, PlayStation went down at Christmas, and that was literally just some shitty kids, with a computer degree and nothing better to do. So yeah, I mean, let's have a look. We can read the website here. It says today we at Ravensburger experienced an extremely large DDoS distributed denial of service attack, which severely disrupted the launch of Disney Lorcana Rise of the Floodborn. Our team has worked extremely hard to resolve this problem over the course of the day, but unfortunately that has not been possible. As of now, we are officially ending our website sales of Disney Lorcana Rise of the Floodborn. While we are not able to offer more specific details at this time, we want to apologize to customers who had negative experience during our launch today. We truly appreciate your support, and we are committed to improving your experience of future launches. So for a couple of things. So this is like they're taking the ball and they're going home, right? But what I find quite interesting about this is it's not a for now. Like that's it.
No,
They're there. We're done.
it's I don't think you're going to be able to buy it again.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing it at a later date. Today was it, and it's just unfortunately not going to happen.
Yeah, and I wonder if what we'll see now this next week is now the complaint will move to my order's just been cancelled from Ravensburger, and they just
probably, because that's one of the other things people were getting really upset about was the few people that did make it through the queue. A lot of times people would get into the site, they'd add stuff to their cart, they'd try to make a payment, and the server crashes, and then like they're thrown back into 110,000th place in queue, and they didn't get their product. Or some people were able to make purchases and their card was charged 2 or 3 times or more, but they never got a confirmation email, which, if we recall, also happened during the first chapter. The same thing, people got their cards charged. And if I remember correctly, chat, you can correct me on this because I actually don't remember exactly. I want to say some of those ended up going through and some of those ended up getting canceled. Like some people got a confirmation email later or got stuff shipped, and then some people, it got canceled. A lot of them I know ended up not getting canceled for a couple of days or maybe a week or two before like the actual transaction on the card actually went away and got canceled. But yeah, there's a lot of people complaining about that as well, not knowing whether or not they got product.
Yeah, it's I don't. It's a tricky one. I'm not too sure what happens because then the other problem is it can work the other way in that people who did get through and did get charged and then do get products could then contact their bank and be like, well, I didn't think I was charged, so I got this elsewhere, so I want a refund. And the bank's only going to take 1 minute to look at all of this that happened and be like, oh yeah, that was a mess. And and then I can understand Ravensburger just being like, yeah, just this all gets cancelled now, and we deal with it somewhere else. Travis 7 says, my takeaway from this situation is how are they going to handle sign-ups for official events or fan events after this? Apparently the past PAX East sign-ups were pretty disastrous as well.
Yeah. They went out in seconds.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can only hope that perhaps they look at bringing in a tiered system with events so that you don't actually necessarily sign up for their event, but you but going to their event is pricing for regionals or something like that. So it's down to the local stores to deal with the 20 or so people or 50 or 100 people or so people around them that are interested in this, and then all of that gets sort of moved up the ladder to the larger events. But yeah, they have said a few times now they want to do fan events, so that's just going to be a purchase a ticket, and they're going to have the exact same problem of scalpers buying them all up and then selling them for a ridiculous amount. That's not a Disney Lorcana problem, that's a popular ticket problem, right? It just happens now.
Exactly.
I feel like, I'm not really a concert goer, but I do feel like I've heard that that's getting better now due to sort of systems that are in place. Do you know anything about that kind of thing?
I don't know how much it's getting better. I was going to say I know it happens all the time with concerts. I don't remember how recently it was because I'll be honest, I don't listen to a lot of her music. But I know recently Taylor Swift and like her whole concert, that was a big thing where like people, I think bots were getting into Ticketmaster and like buying up all the tickets and reselling them for, of course, crazy marked up prices. But it's a very popular thing like in the concert world as well. It's not just a TCG thing by any means. Yeah, and I'm sure I read something about that, like they're being a lot stricter on having ID to go with the ticket and stuff like that. And maybe that's just what they have to do. They have to go a bit more old school with it, and you got to turn up there with ID. Bots buy tons of tickets for most events, at least here in Southern California. So yeah, it's obviously an issue, and I don't know what the fix for it is, honestly. I think a lot of, whilst it's been very frustrating today for a lot of people,
A lot of the stuff I've seen coming out of social media is that Ravensburger were underprepared for this, or out of their depth. And while in some regards I do kind of agree, like this is a huge undertaking for them. And we hear the story about how Disney met with them at this famous bar, and they sort of approached them about wanting to do this. And the more I hear about that, and the more I see from the launch of this game, I kind of feel like Ravensburger might have lied a little on the resume. There's always there's the whole like the actor adage of when you go for an audition and they say, "Can you ride a horse?" Yeah. And then you've got 2 months to learn how to ride a horse.
Yeah.
So I think I think they are a little under their head, but I don't think today is necessarily a reflection of that. This is a DDoS attack is it's got nothing to do with like popularity. It's not the fact that there was just a lot of people trying to buy this stuff today. It was actually a thing that's happened and been too big for them to deal with. Now, obviously, I think there are ways to deal with DDoS a little better technically, and that's obviously going to be something they have to look at now if they want to continue trying to do this. But one thing I will say is not every TCG sells product this way. You were saying that Pokemon does.
Yeah, I know for sure that Pokemon, at least when I played, when new sets would come out, usually you had the opportunity to buy directly from Pokemon. They even would have if you get like an ETB, which is basically like a trove in Lorcana, you can buy from the Pokemon Center. That's their direct like outlet to sell from, and you can get a special like Pokemon Center ETB instead of a regular one that you'll find at Walmart. And so like I know Pokemon definitely does the direct to consumer line. Obviously you can find it also at your LGS and Walmart. It's pretty hard to miss. I don't remember if those are print to demand or not. I want to say no, because I want to say it is possible that they sell out. I know relatively recently they did something kind of similar with a Van Gogh I guess collaboration. I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah.
And it didn't go too hot.
No,
it actually went really bad.
Terribly, and this is from a TCG that's been around for what 20-something years now.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah. This was a tie-in that Pokemon did with I think was it just the Van Gogh Museum? It was, yes, the Van Gogh Museum. Yeah. Basically to have a Pikachu promo. This is an awesome article I'm showing you here by The Gamer, written by a friend of the show, Eric Switzer. They did a tie-in where there was a Pikachu card available using the art style of one of Van Gogh's most famous self-portraits. And yeah, it's incredible to think, honestly, after all of the, especially this, I mean, this was recent. This came after the Pokemon bubble of COVID, right?
Yeah.
So even after all of that, they thought it was a good idea to have a limited card available at a museum gift shop. I go to a lot of museums. I'm not a concert goer, but I am a museam goer. Museum gift shops personally. They're not built for traffic. Right?
No, not at all.
This seemed like a very, very ill-fated idea. But they went through with it, and the cards were also then available, like you say, on the Pokemon Center, and the exact same thing happened there. They just got absolutely all bought up by bots. I don't necessarily think they suffered from actual DDoS, but it was it was just bots bought it all, and then people were showing online that they had 50 of these things, and that they were gonna they'd scalp them and they were gonna sell them. So this isn't, you can't completely put the blame here on Ravensburger for being a little wet behind the ears with this kind of stuff. Pokemon is arguably the biggest card game in the world, perhaps only second to Magic, and they're still doing this kind of stuff.
Exactly. Like I want to highlight both the Illumineers and Espeon in the chat. Illumineer says, there's never been a game launched like this before, global fan base, Disney IP, etc. Like, yeah, like Jonti and I were talking about this before the show. I think that there's an argument for this to be like the most sought after TCG, especially on release, like ever.
Yeah.
And for Ravensburger to take that on is no small feat, especially being a company that has never released a TCG before. They have a lot of stuff that they're trying to work through, and there's going to be some growing pains. And I feel like maybe we've heard that repeated over the past couple months.
Yeah.
But also we have to keep in mind, I mean, the game's only been out for 3 months, right?
Yeah.
3 or 4 months now.
Yeah, like if that, just over 3 months, right? Because literally Set 2 was 3 months, and it's this weekend, so yeah, just over 3 months now release. And in some ways that Ravensburger have hit the ground running. They're a large company, like to a lot of people, perhaps they weren't even on the radar before Lorcana. But I've been dealing with Ravensburger for years now as an LGS. Villainous is one of the success stories of board games over the last few years. Hold on, we're just going to zoom in enhance on Brandon. There we go. You'll notice Brandon's webcam just gets a little lazy eye after about half an hour. Brandon has to give a little smack on the chops to wake it up again. So Ravensburger have been around the block for a long time. They've been making jigsaws for 100 years now, I think. So their worldwide distribution is there. They know how to get product from a factory somewhere around the globe. They've got a good sort of basis in business in general. A lot of the stuff that they're ticking a lot of boxes here, but there's nothing like a TCG, I don't think, as far as as games go. It's a service, really, you're providing. It's not it's not necessarily a product. You're this constant stream of new material, new stuff, and on such a huge scale as well. And I think the Illuminateers are right. I think this is probably the biggest. It depends on how you sort of quantify that word, but biggest TCG, ever, really. Like. But Magic is huge, but wasn't when it first came. Magic launched, to 30 old guys at Gen Con 30 years ago, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Pokemon was arguably the only other one I think that's got close to this, and I'm sure. I mean, I don't particularly remember the Pokemon launch. I was young. I dread to think how many Charizards I threw across the playground concrete. It's deceptive clickbait thumbnail unsubscribed. The thumbnail is my event that I ran that we're going to talk about in a bit.
we're just starting, folks.
We're just getting there. but never mind. Bye. I don't think there is anything that's had this sort of perfect storm, I guess, of good IP, good implementation, sort of hunger for it as well. A lot of people are, the TCG boom is still underway, I think, and a lot of people are a little sort of fed up, I guess, of some other stuff. I know Magic is going through a weird little sort of blip at the moment. So, it all kind of come together into this perfect storm. And still got 3 more hours of the show left. Well, we're not revealing 100 cards this week, so I hope not. So I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. And you've got to give Ravensburger credit. And to be fair, we say, it's massively underprinted. My store is bringing in more Lorcana than any other trading card game we've ever bought in. Even the initial first print run of it, the first stuff we got at the launch of Set 1 was about double what we do of a Magic set. There's quite a bit of this stuff around. It just isn't meeting demand. There's a lot of stores that were like, I asked for 500 boxes of the stuff. I'm like, all right, put your dick away. Let's actually go on about how much product you sell of another game, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Esvion mentioned earlier in the chat, the solution is producing more, but that only works until you meet the demand. Also, saying produce more is way easier than actually producing more. And they're right. God, yeah. You can't just call up the printer and say, hey, we need more of the first chapter. This stuff, sometimes you have to plan a year in advance. These printers are running other stuff as well. And I hear a lot of people with this growing frustration of how difficult Lorcana is to get, which I'd also like to point out, I don't think it's as I'll be honest, Lorcana is not difficult to get. I could buy every single that I needed to
Yep.
play whatever deck I wanted right now on TCG Player. We'll get to that in a little bit. Prices actually aren't even horrible right now. Starter decks are relatively easy to like find, if not build, on TCG Player and order singles. It's the sealed product specifically that's being really difficult to get. I think
Yep.
partly due to scalpers, partly due to distribution, things like that.
Yeah, and
But that's a whole nother
demand.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and demand. And that's what I'm getting at is, the people that are getting frustrated about how difficult Lorcana is to get and thinking that, they're going to kill themselves because people can't find product and people can't play. I'm sorry, but like, product is flying off the shelf. It cannot stay on the shelf. All that tells me is success is like, as long as people are continuing to buy product and as long as people continue to play this game, and somebody's not just hoarding it and sitting, it's sitting on in their house for however long. Like I think we're going to be okay. We saw a lot of other TCGs, like Flesh and Blood had a really rough start. I think
Yep.
One Piece also had a really rough start.
It's
And
still kind of like still tough for us to get as much One Piece as we really need, honestly. Still now we're still having to do, I think we're on set, this next set will be set 6 of One Piece, so a year and a half in, and we still have to do what we do with Lorcana, which is everyone who comes to play the pre-release can buy 12 packs, and we basically have to spread the boxes we have over double the amount of people who would like to just buy a box. And so we're doing that basically. Everyone who comes to play, we open a box, and like 2 guys get half a box each, because that's how much product we have. And then that's it. We don't see any more of that set. Then they have to go and buy expensively online or buy singles online. Whereas really, I'd like to be able to sell everybody who wants one a box on launch, and then still have boxes for the shelf that people can just wander in and buy a pack or 2 of, right? So we're not even there with One Piece a year and a half later, and on a much smaller scale of need than this,
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I just wanted to mention that.
No, yeah. I mean, I just really saying all of that to say, like, it's frustrating, but I think it's growing pains. And like, I think in a year from now, hopefully Ravensburger like irons things out and things are okay. Obviously, there's things to be concerned about. Some of those things have been mentioned already in chat regarding like if they can't figure out how to sell their stuff online, how are we going to run official events? How we're, obviously you want people to have cards to play. But by no means do I think that days like today mean that like Lorcana is in trouble or anything.
No.
Like I think the game is still going to do fine. It's unfortunate, and like I was there with you guys. Everybody that was there today that was sitting in a queue all day, like trying to find cards, like I'm there with you. I didn't get an exorbitant amount of product this weekend either. I actually traveled a lot just to like go to LGSs that were an hour, away from me, so that I could participate in an event and guarantee 4 packs in a draft, and just get cards. So like, I'm with you guys that are frustrated over everything that happened today. One thing I will say is when Ravensburger did finally come out and say, we've been experiencing problems all day, we were DDoSed, there was a really bad response to that, specifically in the official Discord. And like, I understand that everybody's frustrated. I understand that product is really difficult to find. And I think a lot of that comes from people's desire to play this game so much. Like, we want to crack packs, we want to create memories and play with our friends and family. But there was a lot of negativity like pointed at Ravensburger, and specifically at some of the like people that were working at Ravensburger that frankly probably had no control over like any of the stuff that happened today.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people, say things like Ravensburger obviously doesn't care, because if they cared, then like they'd figure this out, or they'd invest more money, or yada yada yada. And like, look, I've met a lot of the people and have talked with a lot of people that are working on this game, as has Jonti. We communicate with them semi-regularly as well through release cycles and things like that. And like, if there's one thing that I can promise, it's that the people that are working on this game care about this game and like want to see it succeed just as bad, if not more than we do.
Yeah.
And attacking them about the problems they ran into today, which like, frankly, I don't even think are their fault. I don't know that Ravensburger is to blame for being DDoSed.
No.
That's not okay. Like, people need to learn how to take their frustrations elsewhere and not target them, at other human beings who are already having a bad day trying to like figure this out because it's their job.
100%. Yeah. And, like I said before, I think there are ways to deal with DDoSing a little bit better and stuff, but this was all outsourced, I believe. It was they've used a online queue company, to kind of deal with this sort of stuff. So yeah. And TCG player, there's someone who has 8 cases, 32 boxes of the first chapter. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me really. There's quite a bit of it out there now. Like I say, at the store we have the first chapter just sat on the shelf now. We're still limiting it. We're saying 2 packs a day per person, just to kind of let it trickle out a bit, because the other thing I will say as well is there may be some watching, and if you are, I love you. But we have players of the game who are incredibly thirsty for it, and we kind of have to save them from themselves a little bit, because if we let them buy boxes, they would just buy first chapter boxes despite having 4 of everything, because they would think, well, I might get Enchanted or I might get good legendaries to trade for set 2 stuff, and because it's that difficult to get hold of the stuff. It would be, we kind of have to say, no, it's okay. You've got good decks and you're playing, and, we'll start doing set 2 packs at League this week. And there's some very thirsty players out there, and it's worth still trickling it out. And then also it's been really nice to be able to, somebody's come in and they've said, oh, my kids mentioned this, and and we've like, well, here, I take these, and they make a good little stocking filler for Christmas, and that might be the only stuff the kid sees, but at least we're getting it into their hands as well,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that's really important.
It's funny you mentioned that. When I had to stay at the shop all day on Friday because the UPS truck hadn't shown up with with the Lorcana on Friday morning, or when they opened. And there was a dad that walked in and walked up to the counter and asked about this, Lorcana, this Disney trading card game. Had they heard of it, or did they have any? They were like, yeah, it hasn't come in yet, but we'll write you down if you tell us what you want. We'll give you a call when it comes in. And he was like, yeah, my 2 daughters want to play this game. They told me about it, and I did some research and found out that if I wanted to get my hands on cards, I had to do it today, essentially. So, there's still people that are finding the game, and the more that's out there and the more that LGS is, I personally think, that can hold back, kind of like what you explained y'all are doing, so that those kinds of people can walk in and you can hand them a starter deck, or you can give them booster packs.
And honestly, at this point, give me 100 starter decks at this point now, because those are the people now. It's coming up to Christmas. They're starting to hear about it. Here, I know you guys don't have Toys R Us, although I did hear they were maybe coming back to some parts of the US, but we still have Toys R Us here in Canada. Their back page of their, come and check us out this Christmas, their back page is Lorcana, and they don't have any.
Wow.
Right? So this is obviously all this sort of stuff is put into place way earlier than this, probably before they realized how big it was. I'm pretty sure all the images are set 1 stuff, and they're like, Disney and Elsa, but I know their restock happened. It wasn't even a restock, I don't think. I think Toys R Us held original run stuff back to have it for a Christmas rush. But I know for a fact that they put it out and they said it's two things per person, and all of my locals went down there every day. All my sweaty 40-year-olds who play this game every Saturday with me, they all went down and got their 2 packs. So I would take if my supplier rang me up tomorrow and said you can either have 30 boxes of boosters or 100 starter decks, I would take the 100 starter decks, because I know that for the most part now the Razor Edge community, the early adopter community, are done with those, and I can get those into kids' hands, and I can get those in families' hands at Christmas, and get them playing, and that's more important to me. So, yeah, I hope that's what I would like to see. Obviously reprints are important, restocks are important, but it does seem to be that they're focusing on booster packs, and I hope they don't only sort of feel the need to just sort of satiate the appetite of the core players, and instead realize that actually starters and gift sets are as important. Yeah. So I think we're starting to verge into the second half of the show territory with that. So is there anything else you wanted to say about the queue, the online queue today?
I don't think so. I think we covered pretty much everything. Shared most of my thoughts.
Limited has just said before we move on, I do think the booster pack in the starter deck is causing unintended consequences of them being bought out for the packs. The number of unsleeved precons in the secondary is a bit depressing. Yes, I completely agree. And shout out to Lumiteers for sort of reuse and recycling those and getting hold of those and putting them into players' hands, which I think is a fantastic thing. But yeah, incredibly, when booster packs are selling for $20 in some places, spending 25 on a 25 to 30 on a starter deck and pulling out the foils and the rares for trades and then getting yourself a pack doesn't actually seem like a terrible deal. And I think it's in a bubble. I think it's an incredible product, the starter deck. I think the a deck and then a pack is, it's the free line of Coke, right? Like it's the look, and you get some cool new cards when you open one of these. I think it's a really good idea. The commander decks for Magic recently have started including a collector booster sampler, which is just a little 2-card booster pack. That shows you the sort of things you will pull in a collector booster, which is their like premium booster where everything's foil and full art and stuff, right? So you open that and you always get like a nice full art foil in there, and it's a good idea. I'll be honest with you, I think it's good business to provide that random hit inside them. So first taste is always free. Too right, Sean. So yes, but I think we're verging into the second topic, which is the LGS release, which we'll get to in a moment. But first of all, we do have a market watch for you. So we're going to take a look at a few things today. We'll probably we had the idea. Me and Brandon have been talking about having some like a series of cards that we follow through the set as regarding market watch. So we're going to have a look at how things sort of settle this week, and then we're going to take a few key points, sort of a few legendaries, a few very playable rares, maybe even a few playable uncommons, that kind of thing, and sort of follow them through the set and see if we can get an idea of what the set is doing on the singles market from those sort of like key tentpole cards. But for now, we're just going to take an overarching look. The set came out to LG stores. It's like ATM machines. They came out to LGS a couple of days ago. So whilst the market is a little volatile, I actually think it's a lot healthier than set one single market, right?
It seems to be, definitely.
So, but we will sort of let it settle a little. John, did you just all receive any first chapter products? The LGS still has zero info on when it might come. Also in Canada, as in a reprint. We got another 15 booster boxes. A really weird number. I don't know why it's 15. Normally it's in multiples of 4. But yes, we got 15 booster boxes, and we took them, and like I say, we're selling 2 packs a day to people. So, and we've got about 3 boxes left or something like that. All right. So first of all, let's just look at the big one, the box itself. Rise of the Floodborn booster box. The cheapest one at the moment that I can get hold of. Does it think I'm in Canada? What have you got? The best listing for you?
The cheapest one is $240 with $15 shipping. The cheapest verified one is about $265.
Yeah, I think that's probably the same. Just checking. It just says shipped to the United States, because the first time we did this, it was Canada, and there we go. All right, yeah. So $265 is the one it's just showing me here from Mystic Card Carnival. That seems a lot. I always struggle with the US to Canadian, but that's still it doesn't seem quite
It's
as
a
bad
lot.
as set one was.
Yeah,
But
that's the weird place that I'm in after seeing set one prices. It's hard for me to come back to earth and like be like, oh, this is still expensive, because like we were looking at $400 booster boxes for the first chapter.
Yeah.
And compared to $400 booster boxes, you know, $250 doesn't seem too bad. But it is still pretty expensive in my opinion. I personally avoid booster boxes that are over $200 and like booster packs that roughly come out to like $8 or $9 a pack, which you know gets you close to that 200.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit more expensive than my liking, but right now at least much cheaper than you know the first chapter was.
They are, but then as we'll see with the singles in a moment, there's a good chance you don't. Well, there's very often a good chance you don't hit the value of the box. I think there's quite a real good chance that you don't hit the value of the box at 270, 260, 270. You know, most legendaries are currently listed singularly at like 30 to 50, like even the top end ones. So, you know, even pulling 4 or 5 of those, you know, you're only just starting to hit at the 260, 270 mark. You kind of need an Enchanted to make the box crack worthwhile.
And we can see the graph. I mean, it's just trending down constantly.
Massively so, yeah. Even since the sort of end of October, they had a peak of sort of like set one numbers, you know, that sort of 350 to 400. And then they've come down. They've actually not moved much over the weekend, which I find quite interesting. It'd be interesting to see where they go from here. I think they probably plateau a little here because stores that haven't just sold them this weekend are probably doing something like what we're doing, where we just sort of trickle out packs for a few weeks for League. So you won't actually see that many more boxes head into the wild, so to speak. Yeah, so I think more so than even set one, because single prices were kind of crazy with set one. I think more so than set one, I can honestly say to you, you know, look at the singles you need, unless you really just want to crack some packs. And I get it, I crack packs. You know, I when I'm in work, I might buy my 2 first chapter packs, right? Like because I could, just because I can, and I'm like, it's $15, whatever. You know, I still need 2 Rapunzels to finish the play set, so you know, and it gives me some trade fodder and stuff. So I get it. I'm as bad as the people that I talk about saying that you know, that's why we put the limit on them, because we can also take a look at the collector's edition. This is the interesting one for me, really. This is something really special, I reckon. This is the D100 collector's box. This is 6 full art foil promo cards and then 4 packs of Rise of the Floodborn. Have you got one of these?
I do. I was able to snag one of them at my LGS, thankfully. I mean, I waited all day for it. Like the guys over there know me because I show up pretty regularly, but they opened at 2:00. I was there well before 2:00. When they said the UPS truck wasn't there, I found a chair and said, I'm getting comfy. So I sat there so that I could have first pick and was able to get one of these. We were limited to 1, so.
Well, you have one more than me.
Oh, really?
Because these did not show up at our store.
Oh, no.
We're meant to be getting a dozen of these, and they were like, sorry, these are delayed. We'll get them to you soon. Yeah. Didn't really worry because my distributor kind of did a little fib at me and kind of implied that they hadn't come to Canada, which happens a lot. But it wasn't that. It was that they didn't get them. The other distributor that stocks Lorcana did get them. So, I haven't got all the one of these. We got one for the store got one because our second distributor that doesn't really provide us with much Lorcana got one of them to us. So we actually, if you go to our Facebook and have a look at the event that we did over the weekend, we have all of the winners holding their D100 because this is what we used as the prizing for all of our tournaments. We gave every winner one of these, and we ran multiple different events. They're all holding the same one, and then once the photo was took, I took it off them and was like, "You get yours in the week."
That's great.
So we kind of had to cheat a little bit, but luckily all of the people that came out and won were regulars and are comfortable holding on for us, and so it was fine. But price on this I actually find quite interesting. 104. It's not the horror story that I've seen in other places.
Yeah.
It's still a little overpriced. I mean, MSRP on this is like $50. Yeah, so it's about double. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be honest, this was like the day of release. I was looking hard at these at $100 going, do I just pull the trigger on it? Because it's a limited release. I don't think they're reprinting this. So like you find it now or you pay the price later, essentially.
So limited. I think limited does a lot of work in that sentence. I think you're right in that they print this once. And I think that's what they mean by limited. This doesn't see a reprint. But what I will say is there are photographs online from the Disney parks this weekend where they are moving vats of these. Like vats of them. Like big industrial, like the things that they throw laundry in hotels. Like literally like wheeling these things and they're like piled up in them. So limited, I'm not sure how limited is. I think what it means is that there is a single print run of this and it won't be reprinted, which that is limited and that's fair. But it'd be interesting to see where they settle. It'd be interesting to see what they do afterwards. Do you think with the majority of the value in the box being a known quantity, in that it's the six, it's the six that you're getting, do you think a sealed box will hold as much value as just the 6 cards sort of nicely graded?
Maybe close to it. I could see the graded cards being a little bit more. I think like this is such an interesting product to me, and it's like Franz from Traverse Tavern asked me in the chat if my I don't know what to call these. They're not Enchanteds, but if the promos were Pringled, I didn't open my box, and I'm not gonna open my box because I think it's first I think it's an awesome display piece. I think it looks great.
It does look nice,
But also, I think it's going to hold a lot of value being sealed. One, because the booster boxes right now for these sets aren't sealed very well. And so, like, if somebody's trying to find packs of Rise of the Floodborn to open, their best bet is going to be through a Trove or through a 100 set.
Yeah.
But
to know that they've not been,
like tampered with or like weighted or whatever. And so there's that. And then I think, obviously, if people are trying to find, 10s or 9s for these to get graded, you might be better off buying some of the sealed ones and just cracking them. Maybe it may end up being a little bit cheaper than just straight up buying the things if you're willing to take a risk. But I think like long term, this only goes up so long as Lorcana stays around. Maybe even not. I mean, Disney collectors are,
They are, but you can, my argument when that comes up is you can go on eBay and buy a play set of Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom for
I guess you're right,
$20. So the Disney name only goes so far. The game still needs to be playable and popular, I think, for these cards to hold value. But I don't know. I'm down for 2 because I couldn't decide what to do. So if my store's allocation does show up, my boss is being very generous, and he's only taking 1 himself, but he's going to let me take 2, so that I can keep 1 and then open 1, because I can't decide what I want to do really. Somebody said, will they grade well with the pringling? Pringling doesn't affect. I don't think pringling affects grading as much, to be honest with you, because they will flatten it just in and that's not, it's not so much of a problem. Pringling is a natural occurrence due to change in moisture in the air. Like there's nothing you can do about it. There are just certain, basically you've got the cardboard and you have the foil, and they both sort of accept moisture from the air differently, and that's so this one extends and this one doesn't, and you get pringling. Like it's how it works. It seems to be worse now than it has been, but I think it's just because we're seeing more foil treatments on stuff. I don't actually think it's a worse problem. It may be that companies are using cheaper foiling options, but cold foiling doesn't pringle. So there's a reason why I think Ravensburger have gone for that. I think their Enchanteds are pretty good. I don't see Enchanted's Pringle.
I keep mine in top loaders and binders.
Yeah, but even still, like when they come out and when we've had them sat around, I've never seen them that bad. But these ones do, so the rainbow foiling that they've done on these is allowing them to Pringle a little bit. I don't know whether or not it's the same foiling as the D100 stuff, and whether the D23 stuff, and whether they do, but. Yeah, honestly, I mean, I always say don't pay scalped prices. I don't think $100 is that bad for this, honestly. I think it's about as low, it's about as high as I'd like to go with it, but this isn't awful because I think it's a nice collection piece. It is probably a one and done thing. It's not like an inflated value. Like a trove should cost you 8 packs.
Yeah, exactly.
And because the extra stuff in the trove is cardboard, it's just filler, it's crap.
Yeah.
Yes. I would like them to increase the value of the trove personally. I would like to see something like a little acrylic lore counter or a die even, or like a spin down die and an additional promo, a random foil promo or something like that, personally, because otherwise it's just 8 packs. I buy one because I like the bigger box use to hold bulk in, but that's just me. But this, I think you know exactly what you're getting. You're getting 6 cool full art foils. It's a known quantity, and I think if you have $100 and that doesn't upset your life spending it, then I think you can spend it on this, and I feel like you would feel that you got the value out of it personally. So so we move on to Enchanteds next.
Yeah, this is interesting. The Enchanteds for Rise of the Floodborn don't seem to be as crazy as the ones from the first chapter, which might be a given. I mean, like, first set stuff is usually inflated because it's the first set. But I'm very interested to see these prices because they're not they're not all that bad. So there's not a ton of data on some of it. Like, oh, I see an Alice on TCG Player now, but like a day or two ago, I was looking for Alice on TCG Player and couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
And the only things were on eBay, and there were very few of those.
These have updated a lot today because somebody asked me for a price on the Sisu in the store. They were just curious, and there was 0 listings on TCG Player as of earlier today, I think. Yeah. So yeah, and if you look at the TCG Player website, there's only 5 of them have images,
right?
Which I think is kind of crazy. And I feel like that's another thing I hope Ravensburger have learned, that you need to just release release nice versions of these before people start opening packs, because it doesn't do your product any favors to have blurry photographs taken on Nokia 3310s. Just give these to 12 big news outlets to reveal a couple of days before packs go to stores. I think it's are any of these surprising you, looking just sort of across price of these, like comparatively?
I'll be honest, not really. Like, I assumed my favorites were Cinderella and Alice. I thought they looked the best, and they seem to be trending as some of the more expensive ones. I didn't think Pete was that great, and Pete seems to be on the lower end of the Enchanteds as well. So, like, for the most part, it seems about right. What I'm interested to see ultimately is, in 3 months, where do these land? Yeah. Because, the first chapter Enchanteds are getting really cheap. Yeah. Like Genie, I think, and Hercules dropped below $100 this week.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy because there's... Well, I suppose we have had restocks. But at some point, they should just start creeping back up again as long as the game is kept interesting, right? But yeah.
But I'm eager to see, because we have the supposed reprint, coming of both the first and second chapter. So I'm eager to see like just how low they go. Yeah. I'm trying to collect a full set of the first chapter foil, including Enchanted. So I'm kind of waiting, to pull the trigger on a lot of them. Yeah. But honestly, I'd be pretty happy to pay less than 100 for some of those.
I think so. If you're trying to get all of them, God, you see them at like $80. You won't really think twice about it, I don't think. Yeah. So did you get any? Have you had any set 2 ones yet? Have you managed to open any?
I've pulled 3 foil and I've pulled 3 foil legendaries in essentially 48 packs. That's all that I've opened, and 24 of those packs I didn't even keep. It was for a sponsored video. Yeah. And I've pulled 3 foil and legendaries, but I haven't seen an Enchanted.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
We saw loads over the weekend. It was kind of awesome. Like, just every and again, you would hear screams from the game room. So, like, honestly, it's so cool. Like, I'm so glad they did it like this, just to keep it to a small number of them, to keep them pretty rare as well. Like, we literally opened cases, like literally like a sealed case, and we would open everything in there and still not get one. So not even one a case, which I kind of like. I would kind of like the idea of being one a case, because a case would hold a little bit of extra spicy value then, that there's one in there. But the limit here is, Liam pointed out a really good point, that you then can get dead boxes in the
dead boxes.
Yeah, somebody opens a case, finds the Enchanted, and then sells the other boxes. But as long as the legendaries keep some value, you should always buy a box, knowing that the box should be the same value as like 4 cheaper legendaries, probably. Because that's always the worst case, is that with this set 2, for instance, you open a Donald Duck, a Namari, and so you have to always keep that in mind. But I was lucky enough to get a Sisu. She's beautiful. I have settled now on getting 1 a set, and I'd be happy with that. I think, obviously I had the illusions of getting 1 of everything ever, but they are much lower than I thought they were going to be. And we saw much less in the store first set than we did this set. I think over the weekend, I could probably do the math. Hold on. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think we saw about 18 of them over the weekend at the store get pulled, either through stuff we opened for singles, stuff the staff opened for themselves, and then through the events. I think we saw about 18 Enchanteds over the weekend. So it was pretty awesome. And like I say, just every time it happened, there was cheers and whoops, and everyone was so happy for the person who got it. It's just so good. But I'm happy with my 1. I got a Sisu, I got a Carefree Surfer from set 1, and that's it now. I'm going to try and get 1 a set and live with it.
It's this set than I did about the first chapter. It's like, if I pull an Enchanted, obviously I'd be really happy, but probably unless it was Alice, Shere Khan, or Cinderella, probably just trade it in or sell it.
Yeah, but that's still a great thing though, right? Like, that's still it's basically you've opened a piece of paper that says go and get $200 worth of cards you want, right?
Yeah,
that's still cool.
Exactly. It's like, first, it's such a weird mentality, because for the first chapter, I'm opening stuff hoping to find Enchanted, because that's 1 less Enchanted that I have to go get. Yeah. But now I care a little bit more about playing the game and having access to more cards. Yeah. And my goals are not to have play sets of every set. But it's like, if I pull an Enchanted and I can get, $300 worth of singles, or, close to it, that's pretty sweet.
I've settled on not getting a play set for set 2, just because of how much money the first one cost me to do. I just don't earn enough to warrant that every 3 months, unfortunately. I'm glad I did it with set 1, because I'm glad I have play sets of like a lot of staples that most likely won't see reprints or improvements for a little while. I'm more than happy to have a play set of Be Prepared, Grab Your Swords, all that kind of stuff. But with set 2, I've just grabbed play sets of stuff that I want to play. And then I've done a one-of binder, which I'm 2 cards away from now for set 2. I need a I need a Fairy Godmother Legendary and a Mufasa, I'm going to trade for the Mufasa on Saturday. So, and I'll be happy with that. Then that can go on the shelf, and then my one deck, my Ruby Amber deck, is already kitted out with a lot of new stuff that I want to play with. So, yeah, I've kind of I want to just get there quick, and then like financially not have to worry now until February when we start all over again, right? Yeah, and then as far as singles go, I'm pleasantly kind of shocked by this, honestly, looking at these single prices. This is
me too.
Kind of blows my mind. It's night and day, really.
Oh yeah. They are creeping up a little bit. Like I think yesterday when I checked, maybe the day before, I think like the most expensive legendary was about like in the 20s, maybe in the 30s. Like some stuff is creeping up, but I mean, I remember seeing Maleficent Dragons at $70, at one point, or $80 a card. And at least for now, to see that at least the set 2 stuff isn't the most expensive. There's some outliers, like Cinderella is $20 right now as a rare, but like I mean, she's a great card. So,
Cinderella is the Lilo of this set, at least for now. Lilo was a very high-priced rare. There's a few others. Shere Khan is trickling up there. I think we'll continue to go a little higher as people settle into the new Ruby stuff. I don't think Pinocchio will hang around. The $8 one.
I don't either.
I think that'll trickle down as people, there's a bounce build that likes him, but I don't necessarily think he's an instant 4-of in like aggro builds. But yeah, there's nothing here that is particularly shocking. I mean, if anything, it's shocking how low some of them are. Like Legendary is under $10. 2 days after the set has come out in a pre-release. Let's be honest, there's stuff going to big box stores in a couple of weeks.
There's stuff that'll get opened in 2 weeks.
I do wonder if we as a store opened more as singles this time than set 1. So the way we did it with set 1 was we allowed everyone who played in one of our starter deck tournaments to buy 12 packs. The problem we had was that about a dozen or so people, maybe even more, played in the starter deck tournaments and never came back to the store. So we basically had a fifth of our product just leave the community. Which, so this time we said, well, let's let everyone buy 6 packs, and we use the other, the amount that we've saved there to open for some more singles. So I do wonder if more stores have gone for singles this way, because it's a weird thing is that you can. You'll get called every name under the sun for charging way more than MSRP, rightly so.
Yep.
But you can crack singles and very often make more than the box cost in singles, and not get the wrap because you're taking the risk of not hitting the good hits, and you're providing a service to your players to pick out the odd 1s and 2s they need to fill out play sets. So for me as a store, I would much rather crack packs for singles than try and charge more than what I should be charging for boxes. So I think we did the right thing, and I think maybe other stores have realized that they can do that. Legendary's under $10. My Gantu pokes his head out of his filler box. That's fair, but I don't think Gantu was $10 2 days after the set.
I don't think Gantu was ever $2.
Yeah, I think he probably is now. But he certainly wasn't there 2 days after the set came out. Not even close.
You mean you think Gantu's less than $10 or more than $10?
Less.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but he wasn't 2 days after the game came out. He wasn't $10 at all.
I'll look at it.
So yeah, stuff has
the
really
highest
settled
Gantu.
in.
Oh no, that's cold foil. Yeah, Gantu hasn't reached over $5
ever.
Not on TCG Player.
Okay, well I'm talking shit then. That's totally against what I thought. That's crazy.
I will say though, on the topic of like first chapter stuff, I am like, Rise of the Floodborn prices are looking okay right now, but the first chapter prices are also looking really solid. Ariel Spectacular Singer is less than $5 right now. Great.
That's exactly where she needs to be. Yeah,
that's arguably one of the most important cards and one of the best decks in the format for the first chapter, probably still a really great deck.
Yeah.
You know, in
Oh yeah,
this,
100%. I think it's only got better with set 2, but she's still just a rare. Like there should be plenty of her out there.
She's a super rare.
She is just still a super rare. There should be plenty of her out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
agree. Like, I think $5 is a great place for a super rare. You know,
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's reasonable.
And, you know, some are still up there a little bit. I think I don't know what Rockstar Stitch is at now. I looked today. I looked today at Carefree Surfer. He was like just under 40 for us. That's probably like 25 for you guys.
Yeah, it's about $20.
Yeah, and that's exactly where you want him to be. I feel Rapunzel seems to be the only outlier still.
Yeah, I mean, other than Rapunzel, I'm looking at them now.
Yeah.
All the legendaries are at basically $25.
Yeah.
Or less.
Yeah. Let me see if I can bring it up pretty quick. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, Rapunzel she is just still the outlier. I wonder why that is. I mean, there's a lot less lower listings for her, so maybe it's just that a lot of people bought her up and are holding it.
Maybe. I mean, she's still a great card. I mean, I think Maleficent is also just one of those, like, will always be a good card until, you know, a better card is printed. But I think specifically there's a lot of synergy with Rapunzel Gifted with Healing in the second chapter. Like, you know, makes her even better of a card than she was in the first chapter.
Well, I think she starts going into... I think the second chapter has allowed her to go into other decks. Like I say, I'm playing a Ruby Amber build that I don't think was particularly... you know, much of anything set 1, but has just got better and better with set 2 with like Shere Khan and the Queen of Hearts, and she plays really well in that. Obviously, she was big in Amber Steel and stays there. I think Amber Sapphire package with like Pabby could be good. Still needs to kind of get figured out, but yeah, she's just sort of gets even spread further now, I think, and you know that's probably going to be an issue. I annoyingly still need 2 of her to finish the set 1 play set, but. Yeah. Somebody's asking about a playset. The chat has already answered, but I will just point out, yes, playset is 4 of, meaning that you can, so a playset of the set is 816 cards, I guess. So 4 of everything.
Sure.
And it's really good just to be able to go and say, oh, let's try swapping this out. Like I've been playing around with this, like I say, this Ruby Amber build. It's a much more character heavy build than some of the other sort of mid-range and control decks. So I'm actually finding that I don't get as much value out of Be Prepared, because very often or not, I've got as decent a board state as they have. So I'm trying the new Scar, the sort of the he's a Maui that re-readies, you know, because it's a little bit more of a a character-centric build. So it's really nice to be able to say, well, let's put a few of the Be Prepareds back and let's try 2 Scars and 2 Be Prepareds for a bit and see how that fits. And so it's really great to have the 4 of everything. It's incredibly expensive to do, and I don't recommend it unless you're really into this game. I'm playing this game. I'm playing this game 5 times a week, and I don't play online, right? I play this game a lot with actual cards and actual people, so I don't mind investing a little bit heavily in it. But yeah, I don't recommend it unless you're really either sort of really pushing competitively or just obsessed and making your life about it.
Even then, I'd argue you don't have to do that. It's a very privileged thing, and it's for people who want to do it and like to do it. I did it because the game's meaningful to me, and I'd like to have a binder that I can flip through and go, oh, look at all the cards from the first chapter. But yeah, typically in other TCGs, you just buy the cards for the deck you want to play, and then that's pretty much it. And you crack some packs for fun if you want to, but
you usually, well, like I say, this time I've just done one-offs, and I have bought the play sets of the stuff I wanted. So I got the Shift Queen, the Amber Queen. She's great. Oh man, her coming down on 2 is just so sexy. The Shere Khan, the Shift Queen of Hearts, that's the lets you draw on challenges. That sort of stuff. Straight away, I was like, I want to play with that. I think it was like, I could tell that it was going to be good enough that I didn't mind buying them. It might not be tier 1, but I knew I'd be able to play that at locals and have fun with it and win enough games. So that's kind of the only stuff I've really bought play sets of this time round. So obviously, everyone's different. What you're able to spend on this sort of stuff is different. Don't feel like you have to constantly chase the meta. I honestly think you could pick up the Amber starter deck this time round, go and grab the singles to flesh out a set of each of the dwarves, Go and grab 4 copies of the Snow White uncommon that makes them cheaper. Throw the lanterns you've already got from set 1 in them, and I think you'll have a deck that wins at least half the time at your locals, honestly. And you'll have a blast with it. Yeah.
Same thing with the Amethyst deck, honestly. Like, I've been very impressed with the starter decks because I've played a little bit with the bounce stuff in the draft that I did this weekend, and immediately I was like, this is great. If I can, like, if you could just find,
just
4
flesh out the play sets. Yeah. The Fox is a little tricky, I think. The Mim Fox is like, I think we're selling it for like $6. So like, that's up
a
there
little
for
expensive.
That's up there for a rare. And the Arthur's at 19 at the minute, so which I think you probably want to be putting in there. The Fairy Godmother legendary, I think, would go really well in there if you really want to sort of tighten it up. And but I still think you're right. You can have a pretty solid league deck just by fleshing out the play sets that are in that and cutting some of the chaff. Get rid of all of the crap items and the that's all you have to do. Like, get rid of that. Yeah. What's in the one of them? That Fangs crossbow. Oh man, just throw it up. Rip it up.
Why
tear
is
it
that
in, tear it in half so that nobody else can play it by accident.
I thought for sure we'd see more dragons in this set when we saw that card, but I think there's 2, maybe.
Yeah. It's Sisu and Madam Mim, so we now have 3 dragons in the game. Yeah. Trash card.
For now.
Talking of
always.
not trash cards. I'm gonna do a Liam-sized segue into our next section, which is You Made Me Ink. Every week we take a look at a card. This is basically our card of the week, but it isn't necessarily a card of the week because we are playing it and doing really well in it. It's because it's it's made us ink. It's
kicking
absolutely spanked us. Yeah, it's kicked our butts. Now, I haven't really played that much this weekend because I have been running other people playing it at my store. But one card I saw people get a lot of value out of was my suggestion for this week's You Made Me Ink, and that's 4 Dozen Eggs. This is an action song in Sapphire. The You Made Me Ink logo is covering up its cost, but I think it's a 4-cost inkable.
Yes.
Your characters gain resist 2 until the start of your next turn. Now, I'll be honest with you, when I first saw this card, I put it down as a trash action. I'm not a huge fan of combat tricks, and I feel like this is basically a combat trick. And I honestly don't think this will necessarily see constructed play. But I saw 3 games over the weekend, one of which was final round, top table, play this card, and it win them the game. And when I say play this card and it win them the game, I don't mean play this card and it got them a lot of value. And then, literally they played this card and then their opponent went, oh, well, you win then.
Now you have game.
Yeah, now you have game because it's an offensive and a defensive ability. Because I tell you what, every time I read it on a Lorcana card, I read it again now. Until the start of your next turn is such nice text in Lorcana. Like, honestly, any card that has it on, it genuinely pushes it up in my radar a little bit just because of that. The amount of people I saw play, like, literally put this down and say, well, in this case, I'll play this. I can now kill 2 of your things pretty comfortably, quest with everything else, and know that you can't really deal with it, and then pass the turn. Now, the reason I really pushed for this one as my You Made Me Ink this week is because when I suggested it to Brandon went, that's a trash card.
Yeah.
So now I want to hear why.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that you mentioned it because, as I mentioned before, this week I went to a draft. It was my first ever draft. I ended up drafting 2 of these cards, 2 4 Dozen Eggs. I had 8 dozen eggs. And I just did not get a lot of value out of it. Like, maybe it was because I didn't have the cards to really go with it. Like, to be fair, for a draft deck, there were a few bounce cards in my deck, and like, there were a couple evasive things. So like, there were ways for me to kind of get around needing to have to challenge and stuff. Yeah. But, and like, I'll admit, there were a few plays, in 1 or 2 of probably once or twice in the games that I played, that 4 dozen eggs was useful, and I played it to, I think, get rid of other stuff and like be okay rather
Used
than
it
it be
offensively.
defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just like, it was usually the card that went into the inkwell for me because I had better stuff in my hand, or like more on tempo stuff in hand. So yeah,
I mean,
I
that's
wasn't too
fair. And I
impressed
think,
with it, at
you
least
know,
in
I
draft.
think in some ways it is a bit of a win more card because, you know, you obviously need a good board state to really get the value out of this.
Yeah.
And it maybe just lets you do what you were going to do over 2 turns in 1 turn, maybe, you know? So, like, there is that. But yeah, it's a song you don't want a character to sing because you want that character to question challenge. Yes, it is. This could not be a song, honestly, and it would probably play the same because you're right. You don't necessarily want to lose a character to sing it. But it just amazed me that I saw it. Like, you know, my job this weekend was to walk the room and watch people play cards, and I saw it 3 times, and every single time it was literally the I'll play this, I'll kill that, quest with the other 3, go. And the opponent goes, oh, well, yeah. Like, it literally 3 times. And literally the last turn of the last game
of the final
table at table 1 that was the card that was the last card that was played in the tournament, so I felt like it had to get a mention even if you think it's trash. But yeah, I know I don't think it's constructed play. I don't think it sees play in a constructed deck, honestly. But I just thought it was really funny that was the thing that came up. Before I go on to your one, I will say regarding like walk in the room, I only had 3 judge calls all weekend.
Okay.
And it was the exact same call every single time.
Okay.
Have you got an idea what it might be?
I have a thought.
Go on. Let's see if you can guess.
Was it the Steel Beast?
No, it wasn't. Because we were playing starter decks, so they only had like 1 pack to add to the starter decks.
Okay. It wasn't a draft.
No, it wasn't drafting. We did run a draft, but it was a set 1 draft, actually. So no, I'm very much ready for the Steel Beast to come up as a judge call a lot because it's yeah. But no, it was actually about your choice for You Made Me Ink this week.
Oh, really?
Which is this guy. We couldn't settle on one, so we're doing 2.
Yeah. I mean, this one just like, it ended up getting drafted in at least 2 decks. In the draft that I watched and saw, one of them were played against me. Not only did they draft HeiHei Persistent Presence, but they also drafted the Floodborn Queen of Hearts, lets you draw a card every time something challenges. And I did not draft any just straight removal. I had removal, but it was like banished damaged character or banished challenged character. And obviously that does nothing against HeiHei because HeiHei is never damaged, and if he's challenged, he's dead. And this was a monster of a card in draft because it was persistent. Like, no matter what you did, you couldn't get rid of HeiHei unless you were lucky enough to draft like maybe the Storm Rage, let the Storm Rage on, or the other steel song that deals damage for each character in play.
The Mulan one, I forget the name. It's a lyric from the song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Strength of a Raging Fire. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just mad. And the whole shop, like when they would watch people play there was a game that I watched and both players had HeiHei in every turn. Was like, use HeiHei to challenge something, put HeiHei back down. And like they were just bouncing HeiHeis back and forth for the entire game. And so like in a draft format, having a card that is almost impossible to remove, like actually, it was pretty nasty. I don't know how much play HeiHei sees in constructed. You know, maybe there's a deck that you can kind of, it's a little bit more build around when it comes to like challenging things.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, the Ruby Amber deck I'm building at the minute is purely focused on challenging, and it's like I say, it's the Shirkan that lets you gain lore off it. It's the Queen that lets you draw a card off it. The Amber side of it gets smaller and smaller every time I tweak it. And it's basically now just Rapunzels, a couple of lanterns, and the new Queen and the little shift Queen. I could see myself taking that out and replacing it with the Amethyst Fairy Godmother, the Madam Mim that lets you play something out with Rush, and this.
Like
I genuinely like, and I feel like it would be pretty spicy. This was so basically the reason why this was a judge call. There are 3 copies of this in the starter deck, and 3 people opened the Arthur secret. Super rare. What the hell is wrong with me every single time?
You keep saying that.
Oh my god. They opened the Arthur and played that, and then so it was sorry, not the Arthur. The Arthur, but that doesn't matter. The Merlin is in there as well. Sorry, the Merlin.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
And that was the problem. Was that 2 cards in the same deck, in the same color, and both seemingly care about bouncing, but they don't. And so 3 times I was called over and had to explain that HeiHei returning to your hand after being banished was not a trigger for Merlin gaining a law. And I genuinely feel like this is a bit of an issue, and I feel like it's not good game design to have 2 mechanics in the same color, in the same set, in the same starter deck that don't work as seemingly a lot of people. And every time you mention this, you get people, just read the cards. No. The cards read, you're banished in a challenge. Nowhere does it describe what banishing truly means. Banishing could be when the card reaches 0 health, 0 willpower. We know that banish means hit the discard. Then when that resolves, the rest of the card continues. But it's not implicit.
Right. It's not obvious.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a bit of an issue. It's one person, and unfortunately, it was the person every single time. The person who called the judge they were right, but the opponent who was trying to bounce HeiHei back, was like, "But no, look, it says it comes back to my hand." Like the opponent was like, "No, I know it says that, but that's not how it works."
I'm sorry.
I'm going to have somebody else come and tell you this. Yeah, it was that every time. But it just made me laugh that was pretty much all I got asked about all weekend. Other than some of the people who weren't familiar with the game at all were asking for checks and balances on how stuff works. But that was the only one that was like genuine confusion or disagreement with rulings. Just look it up in the full official rules of the game. Yes, I know you can, Elliot. But my point is when half of the people who read the card understand it one way and half of the people read it another way, read the card or read the rules isn't a valid argument. The card isn't descriptive enough.
Yeah, I can totally see where that confusion would come from, like as a player.
Cool card though. Great art as well. It just goes way harder than it needs to, doesn't it?
I like. It's one of my favorite flavor wins of the entire set. Like it's just so thematically on point, and then the flavor text of just power, beauty, HeiHei is like
it's just
phenomenal.
You can tell they're just having so much fun with it, right?
And like it did exactly what you would expect HeiHei to do in draft. Like it was literally like I was watching Moana, and like HeiHei or like Moana tries to get rid of HeiHei over and over again, and he just keeps coming back. And it's like, it's so good.
And then they did this incredible art where he's like a magical amethyst phoenix. That just keeps rising from the ashes. And there's a great hidden Mickey on there. And if you look at the full art, the artist shared the full art. There's actually a second hidden Mickey in the clouds that they actually cropped out. Really? Unfortunately, like they just went so hard. It was so good. That was a joke on not having a set of rules yet. Oh, I'm sorry, Elliot. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's all I've heard this weekend is people being like, just read the cards. No, it's not how it works. But yeah, I mean, but there is a ruling on it on the Facilier card. There's a ruling on the Facilier card on the app. So that's what I thought you were referring to. So my apologies. But yeah, he's awesome. Should have been Enchanted. He would have been absolutely have been the highest priced one. 100%.
Absolutely.
And I hope they do that sometimes. Just give us like a really goofy character as an Enchanted,
Oh, absolutely.
I think
I hope they do the same thing.
Out of it. All right, so then moving on then, our sort of main, what was originally going to be the main topic of the whole show, really, until the stuff that happened today, and that's the fact that the game came out Friday.
Yeah.
It was released in LGS across the world. Yeah, it's just one release date, right?
Yeah. I believe.
So how did that go for you? Like you said, you have a store that's that you're regular at, and you got there early. So was all of their products just first come first served, or?
Basically, yeah. So like I live in a pretty rural place in northern Louisiana, and like there's not very many people that show up to the LGS that's closest to me that I went to for Lorcana. But yeah, they basically limited the product. I don't know how much they held back, like for events or anything, but they only sold 4 booster boxes, and that was first come first serve. Like whoever got there, they sold them for above MSRP. I think it was about like $230. Like not the worst. I passed on it because, as I mentioned earlier, I just don't buy stuff over 200 when it comes to booster boxes, at least for Lorcana. But on top of that, you're allowed to buy 12 packs, I think a week. And like every time you show up to League, you can buy 12 more packs. They did that last set, and it did not last very long.
12 is a lot. Like half a box every week.
Yeah, that's kind of what
isn't going to stretch. Yeah.
That's what I thought. So I don't expect it to last very long, and kind of expect at least that store to run into the same problem that it did for the first chapter, which is maybe people show up the first couple weeks and then stop showing up when they can't get product. But anyway, I bought my 12 packs, got one of each starter deck, which I think we were limited to one of each starter deck, one of the collection sets, one of the troves. I did manage to get a Winnie the Pooh mat that's sitting next to me, so I was excited about that. And then I was almost late to the draft that I went to because that was an hour away in another town. But I bought all that, had to wait because the UPS driver didn't show up till like 4:30. And I just waited all day so that I really wanted the playmat mainly. And I knew that last time they only got one of each playmat. And it was the same with this. They got one Winnie the Pooh playmat and one Beast playmat, and that was it. They ended up getting 10 troves and 10 gift sets. And I don't know how many boxes and starter decks they got, but, yeah, stayed there so that I could get that product. Immediately drove to an LGS that I'd never been to before, but was hosting a draft. I'd never even been to a draft before, so I was a little bit nervous about that, but I was excited, and I knew it was at least a kind of 4 packs.
Full packs worth of cards. Yeah.
So drafted that, ended up having a really fun time, and also the event just went really well. Like the people were really cool there. The shop was really cool.
How many did they have for that draft?
I think I'm gonna say 22. It may have been more than that. No, it wasn't. Because I think there were 3 pods of 7 or something like that. So
a box does 6 people. I don't know if that means if that helps you work the numbers out, but yeah, a box does
not at all.
But like normally you would run the draft in multiples of 6. Like we run 12 people drafts and that's 2 boxes.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I don't think they set a limit on the draft. I think they just had people pre-register, and then I remember I called, and then I was like, because I thought I was gonna be late. I thought I was gonna be like 10 minutes late, and then I called on my way and I was like, hey, I've never been to the store. I'm just calling, letting you guys know I'm showing up. Don't give my packs to somebody else. Please wait on me. Yeah. And I ended up showing up basically right at 6 o'clock. And then I remember hearing the guys behind the counter being like, how many do we have? And it was like 21 or 22. And they're like, well, that's going to make for some weird pods, but whatever. So they threw us together, had a really awesome draft. I ended up, this is something weird. You talk about like Enchanted and stuff being pulled. At this one night, I think 2 Enchanteds were pulled when people were drafting. There was an Arthur, and I think it was a Madam Mim. And then there were 2 discard cards that were pulled. Yeah, which I thought was crazy. It was crazy to see one, and then the 2.
I've never seen one in real life, no.
So people pulled discard cards, but I ended up drafting like a legendary Mufasa, walked away with that. And then other than that, I really didn't get anything else. I ended up getting the super rare queen, the Floodborn queen, which was really good. And then after that, I don't even know if I got any more rares after that.
Yeah.
But I ended up going, we played 4 rounds. I went 2-0-2. So went pretty well for my first draft, I thought.
Yeah,
And
mid-table, that's good.
I ended up placing 6th, which was like just before cutoff for prizing.
Oh,
I think they gave down to 5th for prizing.
Who prizes out 5th?
Yeah, I know. I don't know where they got that number, but they did like 5 packs for first, and then they did 2 packs to everyone down to 5th place. And they were like, yeah, if you went X and 1 or you went X and O, like you're guaranteed in. And so I was like, oh, great. Yeah. And then I got there and I'm 6th, and they're like, you don't get any product, unfortunately. But it was 2 packs, so it's fine. I had a fun time, walked away with cards.
That's cool.
Realized I really like draft. It's a fun format, and
it is really fun. I have a love-hate relationship with draft in Lorcana, sealed in Lorcana in general, to be honest with you, because it's a really fun way to play. I feel like it puts everyone on like a real level playing field. You're all just, it's not who spent the most money on their deck. My issue with it is you've got no idea what you're playing against. And your opponent doesn't either. But like I like in constructed when I play that I can see them, turn 1 they ink turn 1 they ink a BLT and they pass the turn. I'm like, all right, cool. Ruby Amethyst control, let's go, right? Whereas in this, I had no idea. My very first draft was at Gen Con. Well, it was sealed, sorry, it wasn't drafted, it was sealed. But my very first limited experience of Lorcana was at Gen Con. And I vividly remember one of my games, they played a giant tink, what was the big amethyst thing from set 1? Elsa, Spirit of Winter.
Yeah.
And no, they played it was Beast, Wolfsbane, Giant Tink, Elsa, Spirit of Winter. I'm like, what the fuck? Am I
what are you playing?
Like, am I expected to be able to know that these are coming, right? So yeah, that's the only thing I don't really love about draft is that you're always kind of second guessing as to what you're into. But no, it's a really great format. It's a good format. It's a great format for stores to spread product because just 4 packs a person is quite doable. And a lot of the time as well, because people are very aware at how limited the stuff is, they don't necessarily need a loads of prizing. As long as the ticket has only really cost them what like 4 packs would cost them, or maybe a little bit extra, they're probably just happy with an extra pack or 2. So the way we ran our weekend, we did a 16-person tournament on the Friday night. We did 2 16-person tournaments simultaneously on the Saturday. So we advertised it as a 32-player event, but we ran them as 2 16s just so we could get away with only doing 4 rounds of Swiss. We just had a winner from each pod. But then and then we had a kids one on the Sunday. I'll talk about that in a moment. But all the people who played in the Friday night one were like, well, what are we supposed to do Saturday? Because there's no league. And we told everyone they could only play in one or the other. You can play in both. I was like, well, we've had a restock now. Do you all want to do a set 1 draft? So we literally just charged them all for 4 packs and an extra $2. And we gave away the last set 1 playmat we had still knocking around, which was the just-in-time playmat. And I was literally like, listen, you're playing for a playmat. You're basically just opening some set 1 packs. And we sold out in minutes and they all had a blast. So I think people are just quite happy to get the product. And, maybe if you draft well, like drafting 4 packs is arguably better than opening 4 packs if you're still looking for stuff, because each one's giving you that little sort of, extra choice, Chat says, how long until Be Prepared gets nerfed? Place your bets. I don't think Be Prepared needs to get nerfed, do you?
No, I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I got the guy who drafted a Rapunzel and a Dragonfire. I mean, that's pretty good going. Rapunzel. Rapunzel necessarily isn't great in draft because it's often tricky to get the damage on stuff. You got to really build around her, I feel.
Sometimes.
Dragonfire's, I mean, God, I'd take Dragonfire, pack one, pick one, honestly, if the rares weren't anything spicy.
Yeah.
So I want to show you this then. This is our store on Saturday afternoon. So this is 44 Lorcana players. This is 32 people playing in starter deck tournaments and 12 people playing in a set one draft. So this is one of my favorite photos I've ever taken of where I work. I absolutely adore this. I love the fact that it is incredibly varied in age and in gender, and not particularly varied in ethnicity, but more varied in ethnicity than anything else we have going on, honestly. But yeah, just that I can just look at this picture and see loads of friendly faces, people who are new to the store since Lorcana came out, people who are bringing their kids in with them. There are guys and their sons playing. There are women and their daughters playing, and people who just didn't play games before this. People who are now starting to consider as friends. We've got Disney cartoons playing on the big screen there.
Yeah,
like there's Disney. That. Obviously, you can't. It's a photograph, but there's Disney music playing. And our place can fill out like this. Friday night we have Magic Commander, and for the most part it looks kind of like this, but it doesn't. It's not as diverse as this, and it's not as welcoming as this. So this just I just love it. I'm looking around and I'm seeing couples playing, and I'm seeing the guy and the girl further away playing somebody, and it absolutely fills my heart to see this, and it's just one of my favorite things to look at. I really wanted to sort of share that with you all. Baby carriage, unsleeved cards, Tim's cup, loads. There is a lot going on in this photo. Yes, this is a starter deck tournament. There are a lot of people playing unsleeved. There's a person right at the front there playing unsleeved with no mats down either as well, and that does make my eye twitch a little. But yeah, this is
I'm glad you brought it up, because that was one of the things that I noticed almost immediately in my draft as well. Is it was very different than any of the other events that I'd been to, because I noticed there were quite a few women that were there. There were a couple children that were there, people that had brought their children too, and I realized it was such a great, just casual format to go to. And it's okay if your child doesn't do well, they're opening cards and they're picking cards out, and hopefully they're having fun. I know Citizens of Lorcana, Jared posted a really awesome tweet that was kind of similar. Him and his son went to a draft, and his son had so much fun, and told him that he might ask mom to take him to the event every week. And it's it doesn't get better than that, man. To have all these people show up of different backgrounds and enjoy this game together in a family-friendly environment. It's just it's the best thing about the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really is. The best thing is the crowd that it's pulled in. I absolutely love it to bits. A few people complimented the store. Thank you very much. Yes, this is where I work. I'm one of the managers here. Whilst I've got you here, I'll let you know a few things about the store. It's as you can see, we're kind of going for a little bit of a Mos Eisley kind of vibe in this area. We would love to do it even more so and really push to Galaxy's Edge level theming, but this is what we can do with the budget and technical ability that we have. But there's some really neat things in here. When COVID was in the height of its popularity, we were this area was closed. Obviously, we didn't have people in here. It became storage for a lot of the time. We decided to go for the WPN program, which is the Wizards Premium Network. So this the company that makes Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. They have a premium store program that you can apply to. If you're accepted, you get sort of first dibs on a lot of stuff, extra promos, that kind of thing. But they're quite strict. And to be honest with you, Lorcana is quite strict as well. I feel like the only reason we passed the Lorcana one was because we'd pretty much done everything they asked already for the Wizards one. But they require a walkthrough of the store, a video of the store, and we had to, a lot of the stuff they asked us to do. So, all the tables and chairs were already here. We'd already got pictures and paintings on the wall and stuff. But for the most part, this was a relatively plain area. The large door at the back there is an actual loading door. That's where we take our deliveries. And that was just a plain white door. And then one of the things that they said on the WPN report when we sort of first got that first video back was we don't like the standard white door on one side of the room. So we're obviously all big Star Wars fans at the store, and we were like, well, let's do it all up like Star Warsy, and we'll try and make it look a little bit like a cargo bay. So the big 42 there, that's because we're all huge Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fans, and the answer to the life of the universe and everything is 42. 42 is found all over the store. There's loads of little nods to the number 42. Every single item we sell in the store that isn't market priced, so everything basically other than trading card singles, is priced 42 cents. Like everything you can buy.
That's cool.
It's not $8.99, it's $8.42. So 42 is a big number for us, so we put that there. And then, and like I say, on this report, they said we don't like the standard white door. So just underneath that, in the red writing there, that's Arabesh, which is a Star Wars language, and it says in Arabesh, not a standard white door. Just underneath, that's sort of like a little sort of like shaded fuck you to Wizards.
That's awesome.
And then we have the banners that you can see coming down there. We tried to kind of make them look a little bit like the sort of pod racing banners and the sort of the banners that you get. The one there above the door that says exit, by the way, in Arabesh, it's like blue with white sort of shapes down it. If you turn your head to the side, you can kind of just read that it actually says Vincent, and that's the owner's son. So he has his name on there, and then Xander is on another one on the other side, which is my son. So we managed to get them.
That's awesome.
Both up on the wall as well. So the store's name is the Game Chamber. We're in London, Ontario. So this wasn't really an ad for the store. It doesn't very often that I get to show it off to people, in the wider world. So, but yeah, we had an absolute fantastic weekend. We got loads of products into loads of people's hand. I don't know whether or not what we did this time was the right thing to do, which was, like, we are massively limiting the product. For the starter deck tournaments, you got a starter deck. It was a 16-person tournament. The winner got a D100 set, and that was it. There was no additional prizing, because we just feel that the prizing out packs is just taken away from packs that we can. I think there's the difficult problem is when product is so limited, is that using packs as prizing just gives product to the people who might not necessarily need it as much. Does that make sense? Especially if it's like a constructed thing. If somebody's fleshed out their deck and therefore wins, you're giving them product that they don't need. Actually, is everyone else done? So what we very early on decided that just sort of core product, as in booster packs, we're just going to sell. We sell it at just over MSRP, mostly because Canadian MSRP is trash. We sell it at our regular markup. We sell it at the same markup we sell Magic the Gathering packs and Pokemon packs. So we're not overly inflating it. We're selling it at what we need to keep the place open. Our packs are $8.50, I think, and the MSRP is $7.99. So it's just a touch over. Nothing I think that's worth writing home about. But then what we'll do now is that each week, at our Saturday morning play, we will let everyone buy a pack or two. We've earmarked 2 boxes a week, which we hoped would get everyone 2 packs, but we have been having 40 plus people come out and play on a Saturday morning, which is great. It's an awesome problem to have. It does just mean that we can only give everyone a pack a week. Someone who looks familiar in the pick. Which is why I'm curious. Maybe they know you. What was on the TV when the picture was taken? I don't know. I put on a Disney Shorts loop. That's just what it is. I do have one more picture to show, actually. And I do have. I want to show you this. First of all, I have permission from all of the parents and guardians on this photo to share this. When I took it, I did ask them all that I was going to be putting this online, and they were all fine with it. A couple of the kids weren't in this photograph, but this is our on our Sunday morning. We did a kids-only starter deck tournament, and this, oh my god, this picture just fills my heart, man. This is so good. This is just so good. We got them all to play with their starter decks. We didn't let them use their pack. So we just play with your. You obviously keep your pack. Obviously, just play with the starter decks. Keep it simple. We just did best of 1. We didn't do best of 3 rounds, and but other than that, we did a full Swiss tournament. We got all the kids there, and we paired them up, and we marked all the results. And then the winner, the taller guy there on the right, he got a set of the accessories, so a mat, sleeves, and a deck box. Again, we didn't really want to hold product behind a play wall. for them, and then we just gave all the kids an extra pack as well. So but this is good. I definitely want to do this again. Is one of those kids named Xander? Yes, the young man on the front left who's not looking at the camera. That's my boy. Yeah, he didn't play in it. He's 6 and enjoys Lorcana, but doesn't quite get some of the wordier cards. Would have just slowed everyone down, so he just hung around. But insisted on being in the photo, so I gave him a pack to hold. He had his photo, and then I took the pack off him, and he tottled back off to carry on watching Paw Patrol or whatever he was doing. So,
That's
game
awesome.
is 8+. Yeah, I think everyone was 8, honestly. And then we went up to 14. Yeah, so. Support nerdy kids. I completely agree. Yes, and this was awesome, and we definitely want to do this again. To be honest with you, I would just run these if I could. They were better behaved. They were better sports.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's something so adorable about seeing 2 kids play a game, finish, and then completely unprompted put their hands and shake hands at the end of the game. Honestly, I was just like, oh
That's
god, I was
awesome.
like wiping away tears. It was so good. So we had a great weekend. We got loads of products into people's hands, and my only worry is I don't think it's sustainable, the model that we have right now and the model that Ravensburger has right now. Like I want the amount of product I have currently coming in and what we're doing with it, which is sort of like tournaments across the weekend, a certain amount of packs purchasable with your tournament ticket, and then trickling stuff out over league and then doing some of it as singles. I want to do all that. But then I also want 48 boxes to sell on launch for just people lining up.
Yeah.
Now, ask me again in 2 years if I want that much product. Probably not. But right now, I kind of need twice the number. I need about double what I'm getting right now to satiate the demand, I think. And I don't know how much of a grace period people are going to give Ravensburger. So.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about a lot, especially with just the way things have been going and the releases. A lot of people said that they think Ravensburger has until set 3 basically to figure stuff out before you start to see a big drop off in the player base. The more that I think about it, the less true I think that is, but I'm not as experienced in the world,
I think
so I don't know.
I think it gets a year. One Piece got a year before they sort it out, and even still, they're not quite there yet. But then also One Piece, the player base has. The reason I can get enough product for One Piece now isn't because I'm getting more product than I used to. It's because there's less players than there used to be. Honestly, I think the honeymoon plays probably is. I think set 3 needs to be the one that really comes out the gate kicking and screaming and actually puts stuff into people's hands and actually. Most likely will be the first set for a lot of people, I mean, we sit here and we say, oh, it was really difficult. I only got a box. It was really difficult. I had to do a draft. I'm getting people reply to me on Twitter saying they haven't seen a single pack anywhere.
Anything, yeah. Which
so
is crazy.
So there definitely needs to be a lot more. But overall, I think this launch was a lot more successful than set 1.
I agree.
I think there's a lot more out there. I think a lot of the set 1 craziness. I don't get me wrong. There's still people out there buying stuff just to resell, but I don't think the scalpability was quite as high as set 1. And if we do get a reprint by the end of the year, which they promise us, which I'll be honest with you again, until it turns up, I won't believe it because they've not hit a single date yet. They're trying their best, but they've not hit a single date yet. But if we do get a reprint by the end of the year, that'll be. I think they'll really be onto something, and I think as long as they can sustain it, I think it'll do well.
Yeah, I agree basically with all that. The release felt much smoother than it did with the first chapter, pretty much in every regard. And honestly, like the thing that we keep coming back to is more product. Yeah, we just need more product to meet demand. Yeah,
pretty much. It's the only complaint I hear. People love the game, people love the art. But it'd be interesting to see just to see how much gets behind them. It'd be really interesting to see what big box stores get this time round. if that those Disney Springs pictures and those and the pin traders pictures are anything to go by, I feel sorry for anyone who's paid $200 for a gift set if Walmart's gonna have 50 of them on the shelf. Like
I'm interested to see, because when the first chapter came, we didn't know this, but as it got closer, we were told that the amount of product that went to LGSs versus the amount of product that went to retail stores, way more went to local game stores.
Yeah.
So I'm eager to see what retail stores
true.
see this time around. Yeah.
And I think the metric they're using for that statement to make it true is booster packs.
Mm-hmm.
I think more packs are going to LGS stores than anything else. But I think big box are probably getting more starters and definitely more gift sets than we got. Set 1 we got 3 or 4 gift sets, and Toys R Us had 60 of them down the road from us. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much they get, and if these D100 gift sets are everywhere, which they should be, right? Like it's free money for them.
I hope they are.
Disney 100 gift set a few weeks before Christmas. I hope there's thousands of them. But we'll see.
Shoot, I'd take one.
Yeah, I'd pick another one, probably.
Yeah.
SBN 200 says, I've yet to see any Lorcana products in a big box store. That's crazy. Yeah, there's quite a few here that have had it, and again, I know that I've got friends who do a circuit. They go and get the 2 from the one Toys R Us. They go to Mind Games. They go to Masterminds. These old stores that Americans don't know, I guess. They go to the Walmart. They go to the Walmart. They go to the other Toys R Us. They go to the other Walmart. They come to us and they buy their 2 from us. And they go around. They get 12 packs, and then same again tomorrow. And they've got the ability to do it.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody recently of dreaming of the day that it'll be as easy as walking into Walmart or Target or Toys R Us and just walking over to the card aisle and picking up Lorcana.
Just grabbing some on the way out. Yeah, having it there next to the gum. As you check out, right? That'll be then you've made it. Awesome stuff. All right, I think we've covered everything, and we're just under 2 hours.
Yeah,
I think we take that as a win.
Yeah, I do too. Successful stream. We didn't run into any hiccups this time.
And as far as I know, we're still live.
Yeah. Hopefully, we haven't been rambling to ourselves for the past 2 hours.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So what's your next week in ink look like?
Next week in ink, I'm going to hopefully make it to my LGS tomorrow. That's going to be the one that's about 45 minutes away. Hopefully they have product for me to pick up, because I would love to start getting play sets and opening more packs. And then Wednesday, I'm going to try to make the other LGS that's local to me. They probably have a greater chance of still having packs, but who knows? Handing out 12 packs is a lot per person.
I can't.
So
hopefully... that doesn't seem sustainable. That I think.
I don't think it is. Yeah. But yeah, we do that, and then this week is Thanksgiving for us Americans down here.
Sure,
I know you guys already had.
Yeah, we get ours out of the way before Halloween.
Yeah, so it's okay. People skip over Thanksgiving here anyway. We go Halloween and Christmas. Most people. But anyway, we have Thanksgiving, so I'll be home for the weekend, and then hopefully be back on Sunday.
Awesome.
So
and then Black Friday as well. It's going to be a big thing.
yeah, Black Friday.
That's obviously a big So for me, for my week in ink is squeezing in games in between, getting prepared for Black Friday, because obviously that's a big day for us. But yeah, hopefully get some constructed play in. There is a constructed tournament on Tuesday night that's only about 45 minutes away from me, that I only found out about today. A friend of mine said he's driving over and we could share the gas. But I do have a date already at the moment on Tuesday night. So now I've got to decide whether
your priorities.
I've got to figure my priorities out, because I'll be honest with you, I'm probably oversharing a little here, but it's date number 3. So it's Lorcana or possibly boobies, you know what I mean, and that's going to be a very difficult decision for me to make. But I would like to get out and play, because I've only played in my store. Obviously, when you work somewhere like that, you're kind of beholden to it. But one of my favorite things to do is go and see other game stores and to see how they run stuff and how they do stuff, especially if they're a bit further out. So I don't. Jason Fernandez, he was the guy who's there. There he is. Look, he's in the chat. He was the guy who's coming in. He actually came in. He was like, "Oh, there's a constructed tournament on Tuesday," and I was like, "Oh, I've got a date," and he went, "Gross," like a 12-year-old boy.
That's awesome.
So I am thinking about it. That's tomorrow, but yeah, one of my favorite things to do is go and see game stores and how they do it, especially, like I say, if they're not in the same city, because they're not not that any of the game stores in our city are really competition. There's enough of a market for all of us, really. But I'm fascinated to see how they all do it and to play new people as well, because even with a league of like 40 people we get out, you end up playing the same folks every now and again, and so that'll be fun. But if not, we start with with our league on Saturday. Hoping the OP kit turns up by then, because we like to put the poster up with the stickers on, right? We don't really need the prizes in it for a few weeks, because we sort of prize out at the end of the rounds like you're supposed to. So I don't desperately need it, but I would like to have it. So hopefully that shows up. But if not, just league play. Figuring out the new stuff, figuring out the new meta, having a look at all that sort of stuff. It's going to be good fun.
A lot to work through.
Awesome stuff. All right, cool. So I'm here. You're already on my channel, so I haven't got to plug my stuff. But Brandon, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at B2 or B2. I realize now a lot of people think I say B square without the D. It's B2. And then you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at B2YT. Be sure to like and subscribe to Jonti here, and on the stream, if you guys haven't given the live a like yet, let YouTube know that you liked it.
We would appreciate it. And we'll be back here next Monday, hopefully talking about our first week of Rise of the Floodborn play. It's going to be good fun. We'll see you then. So until next week in Ink, that was This Week in Ink. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Bye.